Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am Rocco Granado from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, and with me, as usual, is none other from Black Phillies and Gary Groove. Gary, how you doing today?
I'm good, Rocco. I'm good. It's a nice day. Looking forward to seeing everything that's about to go down. Could be a very interesting time.
Yeah, as everybody knows, just a little over 5 days ago, the NLL unprotected lists were released. And that's what we're mainly going to kind of concentrate on today. We'll go through briefly what's been going on in the MSL, the MLL, and in the other summer leagues briefly, because I know you've been taking your summer tour.
Yeah, it's been a busy one.
But the big thing here right now is the unprotected lists that have been put out there, and everybody's starting to try to figure out, who am I going to take? Who, be great? Who do you start your team around? Earlier in the week, prior to the release, San Diego made a trade with New England where they signed Kyle Buchanan from the New England Black Wolves. Yeah, I'm trying to clear my throat at the same time as I talk. It's kind of difficult. So that's their first player right there. So now it's kind of, the first pick, as we know, goes to the Philadelphia Wings, and there's a real interesting list. And Gary, my first question to you is, do you go, I know where I'm going with it. Okay, I'm going forward. Okay, you have to get a big time player to start this team. And back when this guy came into the league, there was talk of whether or not the Wings would take him or not, and they went Kevin Crowley. I'm looking at Stephen Keogh as being my first pick, and if you don't go Keogh, you got to go Hickey from the Toronto Rock.
The only reason why I would stay away from Hickey is I've watched him the last couple of years, and ever since he had his 50-goal season, things have rapidly turned backwards.
Right.
So I don't know if it's just not fitting into the system or it's just Hickey. But the same thing happened in the old Vancouver Stealth team, which is why he wound up in Toronto in the first place. So it might be great for him. A change of scenery might be perfect for him. Right.
But the more... So then I guess kind of you're saying then the more reliable, maybe might not be the word, but for now would be, or dependable choice might be to go Stephen Keogh.
Yeah, I would even look at maybe Josh Courier myself.
Yeah.
As a player there, as a solid player, day in, day out.
Right.
May not be exactly the flashiest guy in the league, but I think you'll get your money's worth out of that pick.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at that, and then you start looking at what San Diego would go for, and they may go for somebody who might want to stay out west, so that could still free up Courier staying in the east, where you get him, later down the line. But when
one of these guys might want to go for a goalie, and Shiviano's out there who is living in BC,
right?
So he's not too far away from that San Diego idea.
True. And did you take note what Buffalo did? Not one goalie was protected.
The way they played last year, I wouldn't protect anybody either. But I'm a little shocked that Zach Higgins isn't protected.
Right. So if you were Philadelphia, okay, where would you, or San Diego, go either way, because Bouquet started out west. He started being a backup with Colorado. So it's very possible Buffalo could lose both goaltenders, but I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either. I think, the summer league with the four shorter nets, I think that really helped Bouquet's game out. And we were under the illusion that in NLL that he would be as good as in WLA. And we found out how sharp shooting the shooters are. to put corner shots in on him. So I'm not sure that you're going to give up that thing where you might be able to get him as a free agent anyways. He might just get cut.
Right. And another big name out there from Vancouver as goaltender is Ty Bellinger.
Yeah, and we know the story there. He was good enough to take the job a couple of years ago in Vancouver, and then not good enough to keep the job last year.
Right.
And that's an interesting conundrum there, especially with Vancouver being sold.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which way the no names are going.
Yeah.
And how they're going to get there.
Well, I'm thinking maybe with Bellinger, because remember he was supposed to be the man above Dylan Ward, and Ward beat him out at the time when Bellinger was out there. But maybe change the scenery for him. Maybe in Philadelphia or maybe in San Diego could vault him into a nice little, few year run as a top goalie in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was my choice, and I'm looking at Philadelphia, I wouldn't be upset if they go Higgins, and I wouldn't be upset if they go Bellinger, or we'll even say Bouquet. Because I think either one of those would be, a good.
Well, if they're going to go goalie, I would take Higgins over the other two, just on his track record.
Yeah.
He mopped up many of Bouquet's messes last year, and he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised a couple of years back when he was in training camp with The Rock, that The Rock cut him, because he looked really good in training camp too. So I don't think that he's gotten the long end of the stick, should I say. I think if he was able to have the comfort zone of being the starting goalie and not worry that he has to come off the bench every third game.
Right, just like he did with the Swarm at one point too, where they were
with everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that he would be a pretty steady starting goaltender in this league.
Yeah. And that's just how I feel. And if you were looking at names, you could go Ty Bellinger. I think he would work out just as well. But my choice too would also be Zach Higgins. I would love to see him here because I liked how he played when he was with the Swarm, and even this year when he played with Buffalo. Like you said, he came in, did some mop-up duty for Bouquet, and actually in some of the mop-ups, he made the game a little more respectable and almost was able to pull them out.
Now, again, you also have for goalie Steve Fryer, who's unprotected from Colorado.
Right. Now,
now, here's the question. Is Fryer as good as the games he played, or was it because there was such a good defense in front of him that he looked good?
Well, we always said that the last line of defense is the goaltender, okay? And you are as good as your defense.
Well, their defense is pretty good in Colorado.
Right. Look at the way
Fryer in front of a team that doesn't have that kind of defense. Is he going to be that goalie that's going to help you?
Right. And look at the way Aaron Bold and Evan Kirk are two perfect examples. Okay? Look at where Evan Kirk played when he played with New England, the defense he had, not top-notch defense. And now when he went over to Saskatchewan, look what happened.
I mentioned that last year at the trade, and everybody looked sideways at me, and,
yeah,
proof was in the pudding.
I mean, nothing against Evan Kirk.
Protected as well.
Yeah.
So, does Philadelphia go after him?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I would only go after him if you could get him for at least 3 years. Only because, yes, Philadelphia is an international hub. So there could be a way he can go from Edmonton to Philly on a straight run.
Yeah, which isn't a long run either. It's only a couple hours.
Right. He don't have to do that layover and then get in a car and drive so many hours or what have you, like might had to do in New England, or if there was a car picking him up or what have you. But it's not a direct flight where you land at Philadelphia International Airport, you're literally about 4 or 5 miles from the Wells Fargo Center. You fly over top of the Wells Fargo Center to get to the airport.
Well, we'll hope he doesn't parachute in.
No. But you get what I'm saying. It's right there. When you get on the highway from the airport, the first exit well, actually, this third exit altogether is the sports complex. And when you come off the exit, you see Wells Fargo Center. So it's not that far of a distance. So, yeah, you can look at Aaron Bold also. But like I said, I'd want him to be here for a few years because we know if Edmonton comes back into the picture the following season, he may want to be let go and be right in his backyard.
Very possible.
And that's what I would worry about. I wouldn't want to have something like that happen. But I'm going to look at one thing that got me, and I have a funny feeling I'm going to see him in the Wings colors. One of the big players left out on Buffalo's roster was Mark Steinhaus. Mm-hmm. Granted, his game has changed a good bit. He doesn't have the, John Tavares out there with him right now where, them two playing the two-man game was unbelievable. But he still has some game left. And he also plays with Paul Day with the Peterborough Lakers.
Yeah, but if you look at his numbers, the Peterborough Lakers, it's not very much either. Every now and again there's a goal, but those days are long behind him. And for a team to use one of their picks on an aging player that isn't really doing as much as he used to, I think that's a gamble.
Well, I'm looking at him mainly possibly towards like the very end. Like you can make him your 8th or 9th pick, depending on who's still, who's left out there.
But that also depends on if anybody's taken another Buffalo pick, right? Because there's other players out there that are unprotected from Buffalo.
Bill O'Brien.
Well, they would go ahead of him, I would think.
Well, you got.
We've talked about Zach
Higgins, right?
Dallas Bridle's one that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
He's having a great summer with Oakville. Chase Frazier, that's another one that I would put ahead of trying to take Mark Steinhaus.
Right. Dylan
Stop it right now. He's it's a U of A. He's an unrestricted free agent.
Dylan Malloy is another name.
That's why you're not going to see Bill O'Brien or Mark Steinhaus. They're both UFAs right now.
Right.
And yes. UFAs are ineligible to be drafted.
Well, no, they're unprotected. They can be. You can take them. You would get their rights. That's what I heard. I've been hearing so much over the past few days about this. If they're on that unprotected list, you can take them. So it's just a matter of you would have their rights. You would just have to be able to sign them.
Which is a whole other animal, right?
Right. So if they're under the available players, whether if they're UFAs, then you have to be able to sign them. So so you're kind of taking a risk on a UFA.
Which again is something you really don't need to do because there's enough players out there that are good players.
Right. Unless
you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, unless that's the one guy you want and you think he might be able to do something. But like you said, if
Chase Frazier being from the West Coast, I think would be more of a thing for San Diego to look at.
Right.
But I think that's one of the ones that are going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's very possible seeing that the teams can only lose 2 players and there's no take back, so it's not like the Buffalo can say, oh, somebody takes Higgins, we're going to pull back Chase Frazier, and then that'll eliminate him from possibly being picked and, see what's left. But
again, you have an unrestricted free agent in Rochester with Angus Goodleaf, who's having a pretty good summer so far with Six Nations.
Yeah.
And has always been a steady backup to Matt Vince, mopping up a few messes when he had to there. In fact, doing it again in Six Nations.
Yeah, so there may already be like a verbal between the staff of San Diego, Philly, and Rochester not to go after Goodleaf because he's going to, stay here. He's going to sign here because he's a UFA. That he's going to sign and stay in Rochester. So they would just be, risking a pick at that point.
Right.
And that,
my thing too is, we're talking about a forward to build around. Why not Kyle Matisse from Georgia?
Well, that's That was going to be one. That's my other picks. My first handful of picks are going. Just so we could kind of throw this right out there. Either Keogh or Hickey, but Keogh would be my first choice. Okay. Then I'm looking at also, like I said, not in any order now. Jay Thornbear. You get your face-off specialist there. Kyle Matisse, definitely. My one big pick, and it's not because he played here before, but he's a captain. He's one heck of a defenseman, and he would be one heck of a leader and a teacher to any of these other young kids coming in onto the team. Brody Merrill.
I guess. I don't see Brody Merrill going, but again, there are other players off the Rocks roster that would be more viable, I think, and with only two going. I don't think it's that. Now, the funny thing is, you got Kieran McCardle, Phil Caputo again, who's having a good summer with Brampton. Dan Craig, who's having a good summer with Oakville, who are, in my eyes, probably going to go ahead of that. But you have Damon Edwards also on that list, and I think that the teams are going to be looking at that over having a teacher. Damon Edwards, his speed is he's a gazelle. Yeah. As well as being a pretty tough player. I would be very sorry to see him leave Toronto. Yeah. So, again, there's a number of them that I would see ahead of. But again, with Brody Merrill, you in the same thing of an unrestricted free agent. Him and Sandy Chapman are guys that I would put question marks beside because of the age and because of what they're doing, and are they going to start going all over the place at this stage? Right. And again, you have younger players who you're going to get more years out of that you can build around.
Yeah, when I brought up his name to some other people, they were saying, oh, well, he might go out to San Diego to be with his brother. He ain't going all the way out to San Diego.
He's not going to make that trip every week. Are you kidding?
No, he ain't going out there. Whether he
Sunday dinner.
Yeah, whether he carpools with his brother out there or air flight pools out there, he ain't going.
Yeah, no.
He ain't gonna go out there. I'm just looking at it as far as your first 9 picks, if it's available. Maybe you do it if you know he can sign, because like you said, he is a UFA.
Funny, Derek Suttons is wearing the C for New England, wasn't he?
No, Kyle Buchanan was at the time.
Was he?
Yeah, Kyle Buchanan was wearing the C. And real quick, I found out.
Wears it in the summertime.
Yeah.
For Brooklyn, there. And here he is on the unprotected list for New England. See, I would look at him too, because he's a pretty steady defensive guy. But you've got, I don't know. Do they give Johnny Pallas another shot somewhere?
Yeah, he would be a nice little pickup from New England.
Anthony Joachim, who's been playing for Brampton, having a good summer too. He's another one that New England has put on the unprotected list, and again, that's another solid player to start with another team.
And they have Kevin Buchanan down there, but with him getting ready to have ACL surgery, I don't look for him being chosen by anybody right now.
No, I don't either. But
and that's why he's been out since like the middle of the NLL season. Because I talked to Brody Merrill back on July 2nd, and I kind of.
The teams take a chance. We're talking about Kyle Matisse out of Georgia, Jordan Hall, Ethan O'Connor. Now we're talking goalies. Now I'm thinking about Kevin Orleman too, because he's a solid goalie. As a backup to Georgia, he's been solid. But also watching him play for Coburg this summer, he's good. His younger brother is going to be a star also as a goalie, Steven, who's playing for Brampton for the juniors.
Right.
And he's probably the best goalie in that league. And he stumped Mimico back on Friday night, 12-6, and he was stellar in that. So it runs in the family there. I think Kevin will be a great pickup if somebody wants to try it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure knowing Paul Day, any type of goalie that's out there in the MSL that is out on these lists, he's definitely making some road trips to watch them this summer.
Well, he doesn't have to make much of a road trip because Peterborough is going to play Coburg tonight in Coburg. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The only road trip he's doing is from the back of the locker room to the bench.
That's it. Well, they got to actually make it to Coburg, but
right.
No.
But I'm just saying,
from Peterborough, so it's a good little jaunt.
Yeah, but I'm saying even like the nights that maybe Peterborough's not playing and Coburg is, maybe take a little ride out, see what he's doing, jot some notes down, and who knows, maybe that is the route they go. They go with a goalie who was backup last year and really nobody really knows about, knows a whole heck of a lot about him, and the kid comes out and flourishes like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
But when you look down at the rosters and when you come right out and say, oh yeah, let's take we're saying New England for an example, Thornberry. Okay, well you still got some players haven't even played in the league. You got Matt Rambo, you got Johnny Pallas, who's been there. Maybe give him a shot and let him run there.
Yeah, had a decent summer with
Miles Jones.
But, I don't know. I don't know if I would waste a pick on him. How many teams has he been to now?
On who?
Did he given opportunities?
Pallas?
Yeah. Three?
You got Rochester, the Swarm, and now New England. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been pretty flat.
Well, with Rochester, he was always a product of the numbers because they always had other guys just a notch above him.
Mm-hmm. With Georgia, and now the same thing it seems with New England on a team that's floundering.
Right. So maybe a start with a new team like this could be, what he needs. Don't know. Maybe maybe not.
We thought that when New England wasn't doing anything and he went there.
Right.
So,
you know what? One player I would really like to see, and it's a shame that he really didn't get time out on the floor, is Miles Jones. He plays for the Chesapeake Bayhawks in the summer league, in the outdoor game. And the guy is like 6'3", 6'4", and he carries, I believe, like somewhere between 220 to 200. I got there. Let me look at the roster real quick right here. 6'5", 240. Okay? Class of Duke 2016. At that size, he flies around like he's 195 pounds. But he hits like he's 240. I mean, yeah, you don't want to really make a pick that with a guy who's never really had floor time. But I would love to see him get a shot somewhere. Whether they bring him in as an unrestricted free agent tryout, when they have the camps and what have you. But I would love to see him in the indoor game. Just seeing his talent in the outdoor game is unbelievable. But like I said, I don't think any of the teams are going to take a chance on on a player that's mainly been playing the outdoor game. Unless you get to see him, give him a little seasoning. But if he could transfer what he does in the outdoor game to the indoor game, the kid will be unbelievable.
Yeah, but there's not many players that have been able to do that well.
Right. Well, one started to do it well, and then he's just stopped. So, and I refuse to mention the name. We'll just say his initials are PR, okay? And we'll leave it at that.
Well, he's going to be just left to die in this thing, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is unprotected by Toronto, so I wonder if anybody will go after him.
Yeah, okay.
Toronto's probably asking the league, can you make 3 players available for us, please? As long as he's one of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least since they're not really paying him for nothing, so...
Yeah, it's a package deal. Whoever takes a player from Toronto first, you have to take him as well.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one.
Yeah, just so he can be put on that roster there.
Yeah. But what... Now, let's look at Saskatchewan, okay? Defending champions here.
Mm-hmm.
You got players like Dan Dawson who might very well retire.
Yeah, because he hasn't made a trip yet. Neither Dawson has made a trip yet to Brampton in the MSL.
Right. And Paul is left unreleased, too, in Rochester.
We're back into the Brody Merrill thing.
Right.
At that age, they're much better players.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting. I'm just looking at, the names. People see the names like, oh, I would love to see Dan Dawson back here. No. As much as I like Dan, I think he's going to be stepping down. I really do. Unless he goes back somewhere, to Rochester, maybe, sign and retire there as a Nighthawk, or maybe to Toronto or wherever. Or he just says, you know what, I got another ring, I'm done. I'm out. I had a great career, I'm out.
Yep.
You got Nick Belich, who's out there. Tyler Carlson. Anybody need a door opener?
There you go.
Jeff Cornwall, which is a very interesting player out there. Marty Dinsdale. Matt McGrady. Brett Mitski. If he would come east, I would love to see him as a defenseman here. Jeff Shatler.
Somebody might pick up. I don't think he's going to go in the draft, but I think somebody will sign, like by the name of Georgia, Jeremy Thompson.
Yep.
I don't think he's going in the draft, even though he's an unprotected, unrestricted free agent. But I do have a feeling that he's going to wind up with the Swarm with his brothers.
Very possible. Yeah.
Why not have 4 on the same team, right?
Yeah. See, I wish they would put. See, on the list that they released on the NLL website, on the available players, they don't put next to their whether they're unrestricted and their positions, but they have the positions down on the protected players.
Right. Well, the list I'm looking at has as unprotected unrestricted free agents. You've got Mitski, Dawson, Carlson, and Thompson for Saskatchewan.
Where are you looking at your list from?
I have a list from Evan Schemenauer, and he put together a big, detailed list.
Oh, okay. So I was looking at mine right off the website. Yeah, because it would make...
Because the other ones that they have Jeff Cornwall, Matt McGrady, Marty Dinsdale, which I have a feeling he might be going, Adrian Soroketti, Nick Billich, and Jeff Shatler. But I think with Shatler, you're going to have a tough time putting him to one of those places and having him report.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think he's going to come east. I really don't. I highly doubt he'll come this way. I know he's not going to go back to Calgary. Yeah, I don't. I don't see that happening. But yeah,
I think they just hold their breath and hope he stays there, and I think he will.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, anybody that's an unrestricted free agent, I don't think they're going to take a chance, especially when you could sign them starting like on August 2nd.
Shatler's a non-unrestricted UFA, so.
Yeah, so you look at Saskatchewan's list. Yeah, there's a couple names that stick out there. I'm trying to see here. Toronto. We went through Toronto, Vancouver. The Vancouver whatevers.
It's funny though, because Corey Small is on the protected list there. So.
Well, yeah, because they want to try to get. They know he wants to go east, And he's one of the players that they know they could probably get something for him in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, what are they asking? And, will, let's say, Philadelphia or San Diego put something out there to get him? Which honestly, I don't see that happening. But, who will offer, Vancouver what they want for him? And, that's the thing. What would somebody give up for Corey Small? He's down there on their protected list, but...
And again, a lot of the players that are here... Now, I have a feeling that... you got Pat Saunders on the unprotected list in Vancouver. And I personally, I think he might be traveling. Again. He might fit in a Philadelphia system.
I don't know. When he was with the Wings, he started playing good. But he's just been... What worries me is the road he has traveled lately.
Yeah, and again, it comes into that there are players better than him.
Right.
But it's just an established name that is game in and game out.
Yeah, I mean...
I look at Brandon Cleveland, and I've been high on him for a couple of years. But, again, he's a plumber in Vancouver, or in the Vancouver area. And is he really going to be going anywhere?
Right. Yeah, if he would go anywhere, I would think it would be San Diego.
If anywhere at all.
Right.
But even still.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When you got players like that are out there in Vancouver, that far west, do you see any of them coming east or maybe even going to San Diego? I mean, you got Reed Mitski. He's out there. Evan Messenger is another big name there. John Lintz. Ian Hawksby. I mean, you have names that are out there, but Seth Oakes, who played with the Black Wolves, who had a great year with them a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Would you? Again, there's better players out there. But as we know, it's not like you pick your first 9 and then San Diego picks their 9. You're going to be alternating. So there might be a player that you want that gets taken by San Diego and or Philly, depending on who you're looking at certain players going to. So that could be a name that's out there.
Right.
Then again, if he's a UFA, you might want to just wait till August 2nd anyway. To go ahead and sign him. We talked about Toronto with, you mentioned Phil Caputo and, Turner Evans being out there, Brett Hickey, Jordan Magnuson, Zach Mason. Where was Damon? Yeah, when I saw Damon Edwards out there, I was like, It kind of got me scratching my head there.
Now I'm looking also, you look at Colorado, you're talking about a decent scorer, and you have Ryan Lee on this list. And Ryan Lee actually just got traded from Brampton to Coburg, and that brought Chad Cummings to Brampton. And we know Chad Cummings is a huge defenseman. It was a great pickup for Brampton, but they're really going to miss his scoring with Ryan Lee. Now, will a team go and try and use Ryan Lee to start building around?
Right.
There's a dude.
Well,
and that's something to San Diego, but being a West Coast person as well, right?
Yeah. Well, we do know that there will be 2 names on that Colorado list that won't be touched, and that's obviously John Grant and Zach Greer.
Oh, yeah.
So.
There's enough on that list.
Oh, yeah. But
you got Cam Holding on that list, Bryce Sweeting on that list, Connor Cannizzaro. Now, there's a surprise to me also that he didn't do anything, or wasn't really given a chance to do anything, because again he had a great summer beforehand in MSL. Yeah.
Now is he down as a UFA?
He's a non-restricted. No, he's non-restricted. Unrestricted.
So he's a restricted free
The
agent.
only unrestricted free agents is Greg Downey, Brad Self, Stephen Kehoe, and Scott Carnegie.
Yeah. So if he's a restricted free agent, they could put an offer on the table, and Colorado would have 72 hours to match it.
But he's none. He's just an unprotected player. It's just interesting.
Yeah. But yeah. Now, if you were... Now, like you said, if I was Philly, I'd go Stephen Kehoe as my first pick. Okay? You're San Diego. Who you picking first?
Again, I'm beside myself on this one. I really don't know. I think that I go with if I'm able to put together a deal, I would go with Aaron Bold and try and build out from out there, from back outward.
Back outward, yeah. Start with that because he'll be out west, and even it's closer.
Again, as an unrestricted free agent, I would have to have something in place.
Right. Yeah, something in place where he would stay there for 2-3 years with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you want, and Philly would be in the same boat. But it almost seems like
whether I would do it as a franchise or something like that as a little bit of enticement. That might be it too.
Right. Yeah, because he's kind of like, I guess you could say, in the middle. Maybe San Diego's a little bit closer to Edmonton than Philadelphia is. So maybe going to San Diego might be better for him. Instead of coming east. So you'd going from the crease and working your way out.
Yeah. Because it's been proven.
Right.
As a team goes, as its goalies and defense go.
Right. And the thing is, like you said, with Bold, you would have to get some kind of word or something down that, hey, look, I'll be here for 2 seasons. Give me, like you have in the other sports, the third year is my option. Mm-hmm. Whether I want to sign here or go as a free agent. So if you can get that, I can see that happening. But I'm looking at where there's enough goaltenders out there that would, I think, stay. You wouldn't have to worry about them staying, 1 or 2 years and then just leaving. You wouldn't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned Zach Higgins. You mentioned Ty Bellinger. Maybe even Alex Bouquet. He's out there. But, like you said, I agree with you. I would go more the route of Zach Higgins there.
Yeah, I like Higgins over Bouquet any day of the week.
Oh, yeah. So that, and I'm looking Kehoe. I think he would be a great fit here. He would be the first player putting the jersey on, and then let's go from there. If you want to go for the goalie after that, go right ahead. Or if you feel, hey, look, there's 3 or 4 goalies out there. They already picked Aaron Bold. They're going to go for somebody as a backup, or maybe they're going to go draft. We're saying if San Diego picks Bold, then you could wait till almost the end to get your goaltender and worry more about getting more offensive players, more defensive players. So that's how I think how it's going to happen with these teams. If Philadelphia sees, if they go Kehoe and then San Diego says, we pick Aaron Bold, Paul Day's mind's going already thinking, okay, they got their starter. They're going to if they're going to do another goalie, they're going to go backup wise, but I don't think they're going to put 2 picks in, 2 out of their 9 picks as a goaltender. So that kind of lets them know that, hey, we can start grabbing our defensemen, our transition players, our offensive players, and wait to get our goalie near the very end. And that, I mean, it's almost like a card game when you think about it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because whatever team does that first, goes for a goalie, the other team's going to do probably, I don't know, I may be wrong. But it almost sounds right that they say, look, then we'll wait till the end to get our goalie. Let's start grabbing these other, these other players. Because, like I said, I highly doubt either Philadelphia or San Diego is going to pick two goalies, out of their 9 picks, 2 of them be goalies. I don't see that happening at all.
But again, in a draft like this, I think they're looking to get the best players available, whether for whatever position. They can use the regular draft to start pulling other things out.
Right, but you need...
As well as signing free agents and things like that. So I think it's only one spoke in the wheel of what's about to happen.
Oh, yeah. But would you say that in this expansion draft, you almost want to try to get who your first starting 5 would be?
If it's possible, yeah, but if it's not, then I would be looking at just getting some decent players, whether I can deal them afterwards,
right,
or whether I just put them in training camp and see where it winds up with the other drafts and free agent signings, and build from there.
Right. You at least want...
Most teams that haven't won the Cup are basically doing that every year anyways.
Right. You at least want to get a couple players that would be on, the floor at the start of the game.
Well, simple due diligence will get you that just by the lists that are out, right?
Right.
You're going to get decent players just by, as long as you didn't pick someone who's retired or hurt.
Yeah.
That's where Cam Holding makes me scratch my head a little bit. It's knee surgery, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know how that's going to hold up.
Yeah, and the same thing with Kevin Buchanan. I mean, he still has to have that done, so I don't even think you're going to see him playing next season. Unless he makes some kind of, miraculous, recovery, after the surgery and everything. But yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, I look at forward as my first pick, and then if you wanted to go goalie after that, you go ahead and do it. If you got your heart set on Aaron Bold, let's say, and you're Philadelphia, but you also got your heart set on Keogh, you grab Keogh first, and then you hope that he's there, and you just jump on that right away.
Now, if Dade isn't looking for somebody really big, since he has Turner Evans on his Peterborough squad, does he take him from Toronto? Interestingly enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what...
And again, you're looking for a face-off guy. Jordan Magnuson is on that list also, and he was doing some of the face-offs in Toronto. So there's a number of ones that made me scratch my head looking at that. But when you take a look at what they have protected, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and we also
leave any of those guys exposed.
Yeah, and you and I thought that maybe Brad Cree might be left exposed, and they protected him.
Yep, he's having a good summer too.
Yeah.
And again, you can't teach size and height.
No.
He knows how to use it. Plus, of the 2 face-off guys, he's the better of the 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways you can go, for face-off players. I mean, we mentioned Jay Thornberry, and you can go, Turner Evans, you mentioned that. Let me see if, I believe...
Now, I know that Govit's a big face-off guy.
Yeah.
Who wants somebody who can win face-offs. But I just have the feeling over in Philadelphia, I don't think that's the big issue there.
No, not real big, but remember, you go Thornberry. He's also a good transition player.
Yeah.
So you kind of get 2 in 1 there. You're not going to have, he's not going to be, the type of player that would just, once a face-off, he steps right off the floor. He can stay out there on transition if need be. So you kind of get an advantage there.
I guess so. I would look at it as Damon Edwards, who would put him ahead on that list of transition. Maybe without face-offs, but
right. But I'm looking at the face-off spot. You want to get somebody who's halfway decent on face-offs, and I think if he's out there, why not? Maybe not your first, second, or third pick. You go a little further down the line. And you go for him. But that would, be somebody I would put on my board. Right there. I mean, you're looking transition. You see Kyle Matisse. You see Joel White, who's out there.
You also have Frank Brown, that was unprotected from Rochester.
From Rochester, yeah. And
that's a head scratcher because he's having a great summer. He had a great finals against Saskatchewan. That one kind of made me scratch my head.
Yeah.
Actually, both a number of them, that just made me scratch my head.
I mean, they left.
He's going to be on that thing because who knows if he'll ever play again. That was his knee. That was the good knee that went down.
Oh, Sid Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Dawson, we don't know if he's coming back. Vitarelli, I actually expected him to be one of the picks. So
he may be. You never know. That might be one of those guys that, the ninth pick could go. Vitarelli can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
He might go to Philly. He could go to San Diego.
The reason why I don't have him there now is because you have Josh Courier, which made me scratch my head, and Frank Brown out there also. Again, you're looking at what are the best ones that can go.
Right. Because, like we all know, and we said this before, only 2 players can be chosen from each team. Maximum. That's it. So each team is going to lose 2 players. So you have to look and see where you go. You mentioned Frank Brown, Josh Courier, which was a big shock. Paul Dawson, he's further down the line, we'll say. Ian Lord, I've seen enough of him in Philly. I don't want him here.
Right.
Okay? His temperament just gets to him and he goes off. Mike Manley, when Philadelphia drafted him the first time, my feeling was I don't think he got a fair shake. He was a little bit of a product of the numbers, and he never got a really strong chance to show himself out there.
I understand that, but is it worth the risk?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm getting at. I don't know. I haven't seen him play in the last few years. He's been on Rochester's roster, but you haven't seen him suit up. So it makes me wonder if he even... I don't like to say even if he has the heart to play the indoor game anymore. Because he's just there. Maybe they're just riding out his contract and then that's it. Because, he hasn't seen the floor in I don't know how long. And then you got Quinn Palace. I'm not even going to say Billy D. Smith. That's, Sid Smith, you wonder if, but I don't think anybody's going to go for him. And, we mentioned Corey Vitarelli. I mean, I think Vitarelli, if Rochester's only lost 1 player at the time, which would I think Courier's a definite. He's going to go somewhere. I really think Courier's going to go somewhere. So that's going to leave 1 player left on Rochester. And the question is, do you go Vitarelli, or maybe do you go Goodleaf, unless there's some kind of, like we mentioned, verbal agreement between the teams that, look, Agnes is a UFA, we're going to re-sign him. He's not going to sign with you if you pick him. So who knows? There's so much with,
like Georgia, they have all these players that are out there, right? You have Kyle Matisse, Jordan Hall, Ethan O'Connor. We talked about Kevin Allman already.
Yep.
Sturos, Zed Williams, who went high in their drafting last year. You have John Rannigan, Joel White, Alex Krepensek, Mitch Belisle, Mason Jones. So you have a number of unprotected players that are all good players. But will they go? who's the best of the bunch.
Yeah. Two of them will go. That we know.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm expecting Cal Matisse to go pretty quickly.
Yep.
And then it's anybody's guess on the other ones. Ethan O'Connor can be your face-off guy as well as your transition guy. Jordan Hall, we know how much value he's been to every team he's been on.
Yeah.
But how much more does he have on him? And again, I would pick him over Brody Merrill as your teacher kind of idea.
Yeah. You could do that. You could even slap the C on him too.
Yep.
In all honesty.
Without thinking twice about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Mitch Belisle I would look at. And again, I talked about Kevin Orleman if you're looking at goaltending. Because I think he's a starting goalie in this league. So I think given the right situation, I think that could work very well.
Yeah, and you wonder what...
And it's not going to happen with Mike Poole in there still.
Right, and honestly, you know that the coaches between Patrick Merrill and Paul Day, they've seen a lot of Kevin Orleman. Whether when he was Georgia, being the backup or playing in the summer. So maybe you might hit something on that one with Orleman. I mean, it young goaltender. Just I don't know. I wouldn't say just getting his feet wet, but knows the game, and knows what to do out there. So it's very, very possible to really get him. And like we said, 2 players from each team will be lost. But we could really go into this more in depth next week, Gary, because what I want to do, we just kind of glanced through the list. I want us to kind of write down who, like the top 4 players on each squad, or the top 5 on each, and see where we think they would go. And
sounds like a plan.
And what would happen? Because, like we said, 2 players from each squad are going to go. And when you look at teams, let's look at let's use Georgia real quick before we go through the MSL. Your MSL roundup real quick. You mentioned Georgia. You're looking at Mitch Belisle, Alex Krepnicek, Jordan Hall, Mason Jones, Kyle Matisse, Ethan O'Connor, Kevin Orleman, Joel White, Zed Williams. Just to kind of like Hall, Matisse, Orleman, top 3 right there. A goalie and a defenseman transition player, and I'm putting Hall down as an offensive player because that's where he's really been flourishing. That's 3 players right there. Only 2 of them can go.
Yeah, I know that's the dilemma also for the teams picking because you look at it as a smorgasbord.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
And each team's only going to get one of those.
Well, you could get 2.
You could, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Right, you could. Like Philadelphia could pick both players from Georgia, depending on how everything falls out. But I mentioned just those 3. I didn't even put into that bracket Zed Williams or Alex Krepnicek or Mitch Belisle. There's 3 more. You got 6 right there. Only 2 can go. So who knows what's going to happen? I mean, you do the same thing with New England and Rochester and even Colorado. You look at their roster. If Philadelphia goes and picks Stephen Keogh, look at who's left out there on Colorado. You mentioned Canizario, Tim Edwards, Steve Fryer, Justin Goodwin, Cam Holding, Brad Self, Bryce Sweeting. You got other names out there. So, in a way, I'm glad I'm not one of the coaches.
There's an awful lot of pressure to try and get your team off to the right start. So
yeah. Now, real quick, you've been doing your summer tour.
I have been in every place Ontario has to offer.
But it seems like the other night, I think it was Friday night, I believe you told me you almost had to go to work straight from the game.
Yeah, the thing is, things were a little strange, and that was the Junior A game. That was Brampton against Mimico. It was Brampton's last game of the year. And the game got started 45 minutes later because, we didn't have any officials there.
Okay.
Kind of of got me scratching my head too. But eventually they showed up, and we got a game in.
There wasn't a snowstorm, was there?
No.
Okay.
No, actually, it was a kind of a sticky evening. The idea is it was before the rainstorms, and where temperatures have gone back down to civil. But yeah, it was a good game. Brampton's looking really, really good, and again, they have Stephen Orman in net for them. I picked him up at the trade deadline, as well as a couple of other players. Jeff Teat wasn't in the lineup because he's already with the Canadian team, going to the Field World Championships in Israel.
Yep.
His dad was still behind the bench, but here's the interesting thing. His dad is going to go to Israel as well, up with the team, up with Jeff. So who's going to be the head coach of the Brampton team for the first round of the playoffs? Well, Mike Hazen's going to be the head coach.
Oh.
Dan Teat is up there. Because Mike Hazen's son Austin is playing on the Brampton Junior A's. And it's interesting because I'm hoping that Peterborough doesn't happen to have a game in MSL the same night, because what does he do then? Because he's the head coach for the Peterborough Lakers.
Wait, hold. Did you just say Mike Hazen's son is playing for Brampton?
Right.
God, I'm old. Oh my God. I remember obviously we've been following the game for eons, but I remember watching Hazen playing for the Rochester Nighthawks when his career started.
Mm-hmm.
And now his son's playing. Oh my God, I'm old.
Had a good game too. Couple of goals and an assist. Couple of assists on Friday. So, it was quite the evening. It's always a fun time in Mimico. The goalie for Mimico was Riley Hutchcraft, but after a certain point he got pulled. And Devlin Shanahan, I believe that's Brian Shanahan's son, was in net for the Mimico Mountaineers.
Huh.
So it's kind of interesting sitting in the crowd watching all this.
Now did they pull the goalie just because bad game?
I was after about the 10th goal, so
okay.
He was having a rough time. Brampton's a very good team.
Okay.
They'll finish second in the league, I think, behind St. Catharines, and they're a good team. They're with the few moves that they made on top of things, they're going to make a run to try and get to the Minto Cup.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, well, if you remember, it was Mimico that kind of pulled out a shocker in 7 games and eliminated Brampton from making it to the Minto Cup last year, which was held in Brampton.
Brampton, right.
So they've done a few things to make sure that doesn't repeat itself.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to try their damnedest too on that, that's for sure.
Now, just quickly, MSL, we had a couple of really interesting games this week. We had a fight fest over in Coburg at the end of last week, which was an 18-9 Peterborough shellacking there, but it really degenerated, shall we say, into the third. Early in the week, we had Brampton in Six Nations, and they've been playing each other tough all year. In fact, Brampton put a shocker with a last-minute victory a couple of weeks back. They played to a tie the Thursday after that, and this Tuesday, Six Nations just let it all hang out. And they went from pillar to post and just dragged Brampton around the floor.
Yeah,
they won 13-5, but it could have been 20-5 if it wasn't for Nolan Clayton.
Yeah, we had 3 ties in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, that was all the week previous. This week here, we didn't have any ties. We had pretty convincing scores. Brooklyn finally got on to the win column after 4 straight losses, and they beat Oakville of all teams, who've been having a really good summer, in Whitby, so at home. But they tried to parlay it into another game the next night against Peterborough, and even though Brooklyn got out to a 6-0 lead in the first period, that didn't hold up. And to show how strong a team Peterborough has, though it was 8-7 still for Brooklyn after 2, they wound up pulling out and winning 14-11. Peterborough came back. They just absolutely spent almost half of that game running around. And, Peterborough is that explosive as an offensive juggernaut.
Well, they're sitting at 8-1. 8-1-1. They're leading the league.
Yep.
They got
and the one tie is against Brooklyn. and that was a great game the week previous.
Right.
And the one loss was a one-goal loss to Oakville. So there's your top three. And Six Nations is on its way back, too. They started off kind of rough with floundering around a bit, but they've certainly found their mojo the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And they're going to be a scary thing to look at, too.
Yeah, what makes this interesting is that, Peterborough has 17 points, Oakville's got 11, but Oakville has 2 games in hand.
Yeah, the other thing that's going to come into play is that these teams are going to lose a lot of players to the Worlds. And Peterborough's going to lose a number of players, too.
Yeah.
So how is it going to affect the dominance of Peterborough compared to, say, a team like Brampton, who really isn't losing anybody?
Right, and for the indoor game, losing players for the Worlds is a little more hurtful on their teams than it is in the outdoor game, because for the MLL, there's not a game until the 19th after last night, so they almost have a full 2 weeks off.
Right, so these guys are playing straight through.
Right. So, some of their guys went over after Monday's game. So,
I'm going to be interested to see tonight's game with Peterborough against Coburg. Now, on paper, this is a walk.
Right.
But Coburg has been a pretty strong team, even though they've lost Luke Laskowitz and a couple other guys to the Worlds. If Peterborough's lost these players for the next 2 weeks, I'm curious to see who's going to be playing there tonight.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. I'm not just looking at Coburg. I'm pretty sure that Peterborough will come out winning this game. Maybe not in dominant fashion like they have, but I think they can. Yeah,
well, I say Brampton took Coburg to the woodshed back on Thursday night also, winning 17-12. So it was it's funny because it was real close until the very end. And in the last 4 minutes, Brampton pulled away. So just that little extra gear in there. So we'll see. But that's the week that was in the MSL.
Yeah, and real quick, you got Peterborough, like we said, 8-1. They're up top with 17 points. Then Oakville and Six Nations, both with 11 points. But like I said, Oakville has 2 games in hand over both those teams. Brooklyn with 9 points, so they're right there in the mix of things. And then Brampton and Coburg bringing up the rear, but you still got plenty of games to go yet before this happens. Quick,
Brampton start making their move is probably next year.
Right.
You're going to get Pete in the senior lineup, and you're going to get a couple other players up there, as well as the moves that they've already made. So they're already planning for the future. So that team is going to come back to some of the glory days of past. So stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting little ride.
Yeah. Now, in the WLA, real quick, New Westminster and Maple Ridge are up there tied with 18 points. New Westminster 9-2, Maple Ridge 8-2-1. Victoria's in third at 7-4 with 14 points. Then Nanaimo 5-5-1 with 12. Now, the next 2 teams are they're right there, and they're starting to come along slowly but surely. Burnaby is 4-4-1 for 11 points, and Langley has 9 points at 4-8-1. So Langley, you're looking at, they're only 3 points out of that final playoff spot. So they're right there. They got about 5 games to go. It's going to be kind of tough, but hey, anything can happen here. And they start riding a little hot. Who knows? But your top 4: New Westminster, Maple Ridge, Victoria, and Nanaimo right now in the WLA. So playoff pictures in both MSL and WLA look kind of interesting right now.
Yeah, and they could switch it at the drop of a hat. Nobody's really out of it in any of these things.
No.
And I'm thinking that the next 2 weeks is going to be a real little shakeup when teams are having to use different ideas and strategies because players aren't there.
Right, and you're missing certain players, and see how everybody meshes in. And like we said,
you figure a team like Brooklyn, they just got all their players back because they were in the finals.
Yeah. And
half their team is the Saskatchewan Rush.
Yeah, true.
Oh.
Yeah, and
so they had to start the season without him. And it's just funny.
And then we said Oakville, with them having 2 games in hand, can really make things really tight, for that number 1 seed.
Yeah, most definitely.
So those 2 games, they're almost like must wins right now. When you have them in hand when you're that close. Well, Gary, that's going to do it for this week. Like I said, next week we're going to really break down those picks because the 16th, a week from tomorrow, is when this draft happens. So we're going to go.
It's getting close there. It's getting real close.
Yes, and then I believe the first combine, I believe, is today down in Dallas.
Which again is another really interesting thing. I'm curious to see some things from there, and interesting to hear about some players.
So if we get anything on that, we'll go ahead and put that out there next week as well. You know, talk about what we've heard about at the Dallas Combine, see what's going on, see if there's a report of who's showing up for the next Combine. But we got a lot going on. You know, soon, like I said, we're going to break down all these rosters, see who we would pick prior to the draft happening a week from Monday. We'll get to see who the first 9 players are going to be. Well, we know who the first player is on San Diego, but in this expansion draft, we'll see who's going to go, who's going to miss certain players, and there may be some surprises. So, who knows? But check out laxphilly.com. Check out inlacrossewetrust.com for some very interesting lacrosse information. I was able to interview Brody Merrill Monday and also CJ Costabile last night after the games I covered down there in Chesapeake.
I have a Jeff Teed interview up there as well.
I saw that. I liked that interview. That was very well done. I love that. Yeah, that's a very good listen to. So go on to our Behind the Bench page. There's a ton of interviews up there. They're also linked onto YouTube. So spread them out there. Let's grow this game. So until next week, everybody. For Gary Grube at Lax Philly, I'm Rocco Granato at InLacrosseWeTrust.com. We'll see everybody here again next week with, I guess you could say, our selections of players for each teams. We'll see everybody here again next week.